Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's tutorial I just wanted to quickly talk through drawing lilies. I was asked by Amy last week if I could do this, so I hope Amy finds this video, and I'm going to link this in the description below. But when you go to the link of this photograph, do have a look at more lily pictures on Pixabay there where I found this, because there's some glorious colours, lovely photographs. And the thing with looking at a few different ones is you're going to get flowers from different angles. So it doesn't really matter what colour you do your lilies, because they come in all sorts of different colours. So you might find a photograph where you really like the shape, but you might want to alter the colours to make the picture more personal to you. So don't just feel that you need to work from one photograph. Look at a few different ones, because there are so many there. And the thing about that is you're going to find lilies at different stages. So we've got some here tightly in bud. This bud's a little bit more open, as if it's going to start coming out. Here we've got a flower just opening up, and then we've got one fully out. So as well as having them at different stages, also look for ones that are at different angles. When you see lilies either in the garden or in a vase, or any flowers for that matter, you're going to have them going in different directions. Some coming towards you, some going away from you. You don't want them all lined up like soldiers, all in the same height and all looking the same way. You want them to be quite free and have plenty of movement through that bouquet of flowers, so that you've got some leaning backwards and some coming forwards, some on the side maybe. So here we can see this is slightly on its side, and we can see this distinctive shape of where it joins up to the stem. So to make it more of a distinctive lily rather than any other flower, we want to look at the things that make it a lily. So these buds are very distinctive. They're very long. You've got that lovely long shape there of where it's split into about four, with these lines that go all the way down, and then you've got this tip which is also very distinctive. The leaves are very pointy at the end and very long. You don't have too many leaves higher up, and they all come from the same point. Also, if you look, the petals are quite pointy, and then you've got these, which obviously sometimes make a mess of your clothes when you get those on you, but you want to make sure that these are in your picture. You've got the centre one there, and then the pollen around the outside. So it's a very long flower, but when you're seeing it from above like this, it's also very circular. So if you imagine it fitting inside a trumpet, and like I said, try and draw it from a few different angles. If you can, if you've got an actual flower, hold the flower up and point it in a few different angles and try drawing it like that as well. It's always good to draw from life if you can. If you've got some flowers in the garden that you can go out and draw from, that's great practice for your drawing. So I'm just going to do a very simple little drawing, and I'm going to do that in pencil first of all, and then I'm going to add some pen. So really, to make it look like lilies, I want to get some of those buds as well as the flowers, but I perhaps won't do it exactly the same as this. Like I say, add a few different photographs together, change the colours if you want, make it quite personal. So if we look, we've got 6 petals, we've got 3 on the inside and 3 on the outside, so it's quite a simple way to make sure you get those petals right. Also is because it's a nice even number there. This is slightly more tricky, so when you're doing this petal, which we're seeing the back of, and it's curling over and back on itself here, make sure you get this inside line here and this here, so we get that feeling of it coming back towards us. So that's an important shape to consider there. And then it sort of joins up to this line, and again get that shape in. So look at it as a series of shapes and look at where they line up. So if you think about this one, we could have a nice curve all the way around there, which would be a good place to start. So I think we'll start with this one, and I'll just do a few guidelines. I've really talked through all the shapes and things. I'll just do a few guidelines, and then I'll come on with my ink. And if you've got any questions at all, you pop them in the discussion below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So with this one, like I said, if we just pop that curve around, do it nice and big as well. Try and fill your page with lots of nice flowers. And then if we look at, so we've got the curve there, and if we look at the actual size, if we measure from tip to tip, it's about that length, and if we go there, it's quite a lot shorter. So it's about 3/4 that way as it is to that way. I've done this slightly shorter, so there. So it's going to be about there. And again, you don't have to be too accurate and worry too much with your actual measurements because each flower is going to be different. It's more the fact that you're getting it to be a lily as opposed to any other flower. So if you can see, this flower here is actually coming this petal, sorry, is coming all the way down and joining up there. So think about the shape there. And lovely long curve. So I've perhaps not got it curvy enough, it perhaps wants to come in a bit. And I tend to make things curvier than they are, it's just a habit I've got. I obviously like drawing curves. So you might want to refine it as you go along. And again, you've got this going here and you've just got the other petals going across there. So this is an important shape to get in where it's curved over. You'll see it more when I put the pen in, when I get rid of all those first lines that I've gone wrong. So if you go wrong with some lines, don't worry, just keep going and looking at where it does actually go. So I think what I'll do is I'll go over this one with ink just to show you, and then I'll do the rest and put some music on in the background whilst I do those. So so I can just talk through some of these more complicated shapes here before you have a go at doing them yourself. So if you can see here, I'm going to get the pen now so that it shows more to you. It's very important that we get the inside of this petal so that we know it's coming backwards. So we need to get this shape here and this shape here. So if we look at the end of the petal here, it's pointed at the tip and then it's got a little round back to it, and that comes down and it touches on where that other petal's leaning over, so we don't want to go past that line. This petal, so we're doing two separate petals here where they're actually going over each other, goes all the way back to here to where it tips, and then we're going slightly out and nicely round to hit that next petal. So here we want this distinctive shape, and if you see, it dips in the middle there and out. And we want a faint line down to the centre there. You could do this in pencil if you like, you don't have to do it in pen, it really helps it show up to you when I do things in pen. And then we can see this green vein going down here. So now we need to carry on this first petal that we started with, and that goes, like I said earlier, all the way down to the bottom, the base here where they join up. But it also goes in and out like that, and we can see the other one behind it there. So quite complicated, and some of that drawing will be helped by the paint afterwards as well. So we're drawing the outside edge of this one, and it comes again right over here, and then we're drawing the back of it that we can just and so see. And that sort of fades away, and then we see the underneath of the next one coming down here, and it joins that, and then it's very round at the base there before we go off to the stem. So again, we need this one coming over, and it's really rounded there. And those two outside ones are the most complicated to draw, really. Now if we look at this, it's very difficult to see this petal go all the way down here, but we know it does. So that's another thing we need to think about when we're doing flowers in particular, is the things that we can't see that are on the other side of the flower where we're joining up, like this petal here, we can't see that it joins here, but we know it does. So when you're drawing these lines, be thinking that that petal has to at some point go back to this central point. So when you get to here, you know it's slightly curving that way, and it will help you if you think about them all joining in that central point. And this applies to any flower. You know it's all fastened together there. If you do it and your petal's going off somewhere here, it won't look convincing to the viewer's eye, because they'll be thinking, well, that can't possibly be right. They don't think that knowingly. That's an unconscious thing that your eye picks up, thinking, well, they're not all fastened to that stem. So something in your mind tells you that it doesn't look right. So just think about them all being fastened at this point. So even this line going down here, we can't see it because of all these stems here, but we know it joins up. And similarly with this one. So this petal here will be going like this, but we can't see that. But it does help your drawing if you have that in mind. So we'll just start that line around here somewhere, and then we'll fit those little stems and things in later. Again, there's a little bit of a nick on the end of the petal there, where that central vein comes across. We'd already got that line in earlier, and then it disappears off down there. So we can put those central veins in because they're quite strong on this side, on this petal, and it gives a little bit more movement to the flower itself and interest. And then we'll do this one on this side, start slightly further down. Don't be frightened to break this curve that you put in earlier. That was just a guideline. And don't be frightened or worried about not going over the same lines as your pencil. You put those pencils in as a guideline. When you come to draw it the second time, you might think, well, actually, I've got that a little bit wrong. So don't be set to those pencil lines if you think they need changing once you come to do your pen. Okay, so I think that's probably enough. I'm going to put that line there even though you can't really see it. I think it's just going to help. And then we'll put these distinctive shapes in the centre here. So it's like a little fan is this central bit. And then again, you don't have to look at every single little bit of pollen and have it in the same direction as it is on the photograph, or the same number. As long as you get that feeling for those, and that gives it the feeling of being a lily. You might want to put more in than that actually. I'm not sure if they always have the same amount. I doubt they always have the same amount. I would imagine they often have less or more. And again, we know that those are all going to be fastened down here, so you want them to be all going towards that stem. Okay, and we can tidy that up once we've got rid of those pencil lines, but I think that's probably enough for the ink drawing on that one. So like I said, these buds are quite distinctive. I'll draw this one here, this kind of shape, and then like I say, I'll go on and put some music on while I complete these. So I hope that's enough detail for you regarding the drawing. With all flowers, just really think about where they're joining that stem. Try and get them going at different angles, which is really important to get some interest in your picture. And think about the overall shape of the whole flower rather than just thinking about necessarily the shape of each petal one at a time. It sort of helps if you put the whole flower into a shape to begin with. So I hope you found this video useful. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you have any requests as well, if there's anything in particular that you want me to talk through the drawing of. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye for now.